Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. I would like to speak just briefly, but in a way I never have before, about something you're going to hear more and more about. It's called the field. The field has been defined many times because it's starting to be seen and measured. Is it possible that there could be some kind of field of energy around all of you that is the field of consciousness? But it's so big and contains so much more than you that it might be the consciousness of all of those in the planet collectively, so that you might sense something that is coming. Now we have movies about it, documentaries about it, measurements of it. And there would be those who say, well, I can sense it in the field. And they'd be right. We now know on this planet, you now know on this planet, together, there is a consensus that consciousness has to be energy. It is not some fleeting thing that simply psychologists speak of. Measured, it is. And so if consciousness is energy, then you have to apply the rules of energy to consciousness. It is possible that consciousness then radiates a field of consciousness. And with the billions of humans on the planet, that field may be all around you. For those who are intuitive, they may sense things in the field. I've said this many, many times. I predicted some time ago that you would get a new pope. And you did within 13 months. And the current one did not have to die for that. So it was truly an anomaly. But dear ones, this was done so you could see the example that we have given. It was not a prediction. It was not something that was out of the blue, some say, because that was in the field. You see, the current pope was already in trouble. In trouble perhaps in a way that he knew he must resign. And so he did. But that was known in the consciousness field at the time I gave it to you, and 13 months later it manifested with a new pope. You see, what I'm telling you is I gave you an example of things that are not predictions necessarily, but reading that which is going on in the field. There's a lot going on in the field at the moment, and many are starting to pick up things, good things. The field also gives very, very positive things, because those who are thinking that there are wonderful things about to happen or inventions starting to manifest themselves, that's also in the field, as well as things that might be crumbling or changing. That's in the field. But here's what I want to tell you. The field is a multidimensionality of consciousness. Consciousness, although energy, is also multidimensional. It has to be. What I want to tell you is that because consciousness is not linear, you cannot read it in a linear fashion. You simply cannot. Therefore, you read it like a dream would be read. Perhaps you have a very profound dream. You think you know what it means, but it's nonsensical. Many of you have these kinds of dreams. So you'll go to a dream specialist who will then sit with you and say, well, that is a beautiful dream, and you're really coming into your own and dismissing this and that because this happened in your dream, and this meant this, and this meant this. And you come away and you go, wow, isn't my consciousness beautiful the way it gives me this information? And you'd be right. That's your own consciousness talking to you in metaphors. So if you are dreaming certain kinds of things, and you go to a specialist and they reveal what your consciousness is giving you, that is an example of what I'm going to give you in the field. The field does not give linear issues in a linear fashion. It gives them in a multidimensional fashion, and that means quite often everything that is sensed in the field is metaphoric. It means something else. Did you get that? Readers and psychics have always read the field. This is how they get their information. A reader or a psychic who sits across from you is reading your field. They don't have a magic crystal ball, as some would think. The field is the energy that you're generating with your consciousness and your subconscious, and it all is there. So when it's time to read the field, there are so many errors that occur. Errors in not understanding that the field speaks in metaphors, period. Very, very, very seldom does it give you a linear event that's coming. I want to give you two examples, and you're going to understand them. For many, many years, there have been many belief systems on this planet that have been reading the field. And what they've been reading is the potential of the shift. All of the indigenous on this planet, all of them had some kind of inkling about that which is cyclical with the planet. Cyclical with the planet. It happens in cycles, and part of the cycles come from that which is the wobble of the earth, the position of the stars. The indigenous saw that. The prophecies of 2012, the precession of the equinox, was seen clearly by many, many indigenous in their cycles. And how they interpret it was very interesting. All the way to your modern religions, they interpreted it because it was in the field. And what they told you was this: that the masters of old, some specific, some not, would be coming back to this earth. Some very linear things giving you about the turn of that into the year 2000 and beyond, and that trumpet would sound, and people would disappear, and they would come, and there would be peace on earth, and a different consciousness would reign. That didn't happen, dear ones. You said 21 years later from when it was seen, it didn't happen. But what is happening is a new normal, a change of consciousness, a kindness, a compassion, a cleanup. All of the things that they talked about in a linear fashion are happening differently. Do you see that? They were right. Oh, you say, but they weren't right because that master didn't return. Oh, really? What if that also was a metaphor? What if we have the masters of the planet entering the field of the consciousness, all of that? What if they're back, but they didn't come in robes and linears and blowing trumpets? Do you see what I'm saying? I'll give you number two. For years, there have been predictions of a complete and total utter failure of your stock market in America. They say these are systemic issues. They're going to fall. You cannot change it enough because it's systemic. The very system is broken. Therefore, I'm going to write this book and that book, and I'm an expert of stock markets, and it's going to crash and all of these things. And I'll tell you, it's way past its expiration point. It didn't happen. It didn't happen. But what did was COVID, which stopped the planet. It stopped transactions. It changed the way people buy and sell at a systemic level. It changed the stock market. It changed banking. In other words, what if everything they saw in a linear fashion as a complete collapse was simply what you are going through right now? And they couldn't interpret it any other way than a collapse. And instead you get a recalibration as the world stops and recalibrates and starts again. That's what it looked like to them. I am telling you this for a reason, because you're going to hear all manner of predictions. And some of them are continuing with doom and gloom. Since my partner was born, he has had doom and gloom predictions, and none of them occurred because they were misread. Things in the field that some of you are sensing may not be exactly what's going to happen. It starts to explain why some prophecies simply fall on their face. They don't happen in the manner that they are given to you in a linear fashion. But when you look around, you see the results as though they did. You see what I'm saying? Your future is different from anyone's vision. It's grander. It's beautiful. And the field is going to start to give you information about what's coming, metaphorically. Beautiful, dear ones, it is. Be wise in these things when people tell you things that they're sensing or predicting. Be understanding of this message in this channel, more than you think, different, and perhaps even a little more benevolent than you think it could be. And so it is. Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. The biggest invisible thing, that you're not here by accident and that God loves you. You can call God the creative source. You can call God Spirit if you don't like the word God. But there is a Creator. Over 80% of the planet knows this, is part of organizations that claim this, that believe that there is life of some kind after death. It is an intuitive, monotheistic belief of the planet that you were created. And as you sit in the chair, you have the choice to decide about that Creator. Is it love? Is it accident? And what is the relationship? We're here to tell you, as we have every single time we channel, that the relationship is love. That you were born magnificent and it goes from there. Free choice, an invisible aspect, guides your life into that energy you wish. But standing next to you are all manner of invisible attributes that have their hands out. There are so many. One of the largest ones I have brought to you from the very beginning. You might say, scientifically, it's the core of epigenetics, and that is this, that the body is listening to what you are saying. And the body listens in two ways. The body is aware of your attitude and what you say from day to day. Believe it or not, that attitude emulates to the body who you think you are. And so if you carry an attitude that says you're nothing and never will be, the body cooperates. That is how powerful you are. But the other way that it listens is the way that we have taught you before. An invisible force, if you wish. Force. Like every cell had an antenna listening to that force. And that was the consciousness of the human being. informing the body what it wants. We've even described it as consciousness homeopathy, where a little goes a long way and the cells listen to you. And we've told you that consciousness is energy. That has now been proven on your planet, and it has changed so many things, a lot of thinking. If consciousness is energy, then there may be rules of consciousness. And if there are energetic rules of consciousness, one of them might be that it is focusable. And that is in your body. Your body is listening. Every cell is aware. This is an invisibility, not taught necessarily in the places you'd expect it to be. But more and more are starting to realize that you can shape your own existence, that which is health for you. You can change the scheme, if you want to say that, of how fast and profoundly your body ages. If you do nothing, we have told you the body goes on automatic. Without direction, without focus, without intent, the body freewheels. It's out there, and it listens to all that is around it, that tells it how old it is and the drugs it should take and how long it'll last. That is Kryon from the beginning. But dear ones, in the last years, there has been another invisibility. This one is difficult to teach. This one is beyond the scope mostly of logic. This is the one that is controversial. This is the one that might even be laughed at. And it deals with the field. The idea that consciousness and the energy of it is all around you, from the potentials that is developed from it. I'm going to give you an example. A simple metaphor. There are many doors in your life as you walk around. One door has a person standing behind it who is angry, has his hand on the doorknob, it's about to open. There's another door. It's a woman holding food. She's been to the store. Her hand is on the knob. It's about to open. There's another door. That door has something that is actually happening at the moment. It's an accident happening at the moment. It's another door. It's the love of your life. He, she has the hand on the door. Question, are they real? In this metaphor, in this puzzle, they are. Picture it in real life. Is that an impossibility to have those things around you? And the answer is no, that is not an impossibility. In fact, it's very probable. Each one of those examples is a consciousness that has energy. We've told you this before, that when you go to a theater, perhaps alone or with someone else, and you sit down next to an unknown person and you feel something that makes you want to move. That is a consciousness that literally is felt by you because it's energy. They're unbalanced or they're ill. And without knowing them or seeing them, you move. And that is you sensing something in the field. You're already experiencing these things, dear ones. This is an invisible, beautiful tool. Human beings can sense what's in the field. Some will call this intuition. It's part of it, but it's not all of it. Now, to add to this puzzle, dear ones, now you put the glue together. there's something called coherence. Coherence would be that which is a confluence of togetherness or a synchronization of consciousness of like kind. It's created perhaps when you get together in a group like this, when those would pray together or sing together, for music creates these kinds of things. Or perhaps even now, a channeling, where you realize that what you're hearing is dripping with the love and the purpose of God to you. I was giving you the potentials in the field, because one of those doors behind one was an ill pope and another one about to take his place. Is that prophecy when I'm giving you what's in the field already? It's potentials. Now back to those doors. You're sitting there with a confluence of coherence, with things that suit you, things that are filled with purpose for you. And you are then able to sense the doors that are about to open. You're not going to go near the one with the angry person or the accident that is happening. And you'll be motivated perhaps to the love or the food or survival. But there won't be any question. And if you could pick a road perhaps that led to the situation behind the door, you'd know. And it's not fortune telling, and it's not even being psychic. It's practical, because you are sensing what is, not the future, and making a decision about where you're going based upon what is happening. It's difficult to describe, because there would be those who say, well, it hasn't happened yet. That's telling the future. That's not correct. It has happened, in that those on the other side of the doors are a consciousness. And that consciousness, just like the one you sat next to in the theater, is that which you can pick up. That's invisible. That's you creating your reality. Beyond talking to yourselves, I just gave you the secret to creating a reality that is yours, meeting the right people, having airplanes that work or not, knowing things that perhaps others don't, because you can sense what's behind the consciousness of the potential. And then there is the question. Okay, you've got my interest, Kryon. I don't seem to have this. And that's where I'm going to tell you, you don't have it because you don't believe it. You don't have it because someone has either told you it doesn't exist or talked you out of it, or have told you that it belongs only to those who are strange or odd, it cannot exist. Did you know that biologists have already named it entrainment? Where biology seems to, for no reason at all, synchronize together with other individuals in a scenario that is unexplainable. It's already known. And this is the next step. What if there were an invisibility that lets you sense what to do next, that makes sense for you to avoid the accident, to make sure you're at the right place at the right time, or to open the door and meet love? Dear ones, the Creator has given you this, and in this new energy, it's becoming sharpened. Last night, I sat before the sisters. It's beautiful to sit in front of the females who carry the energy of compassion and teaching and sacredness and shamanship. And in their Akash, they're feeling it and they know it. It's beautiful to sit in front of humans who are the teachers of humans. And I told them that a flower is opening. It's a wonderful example, especially to the women. A flower is opening with the essence of reality that heretofore seemed to be that which was not real. The essence of the flower is the realization that perhaps some of these things are true, available, doable, and perhaps even something you could examine. This ability to rise from your chair and sense what is there is available to all humanity all the time. It's a sharpening of intuition. Some of you have to practice in order to understand what it feels like. But once you start, you realize it's there, it's real. There are so many, even in this room, who would listen and come, who have said, I can tell you the stories that Kryon is right, that I felt something that either brought me to the chair today or took me to a person where I had a healing, and it was beautiful. And you start to realize this is a life practice that will keep you in a beautiful place for a very long time. Control over the things that you thought were uncontrollable. It's invisible, it's the field, it's real, it's consciousness, it's energy, and it's here. Old soul, I've said it before, it's available to you first because you have the tools to use it. Your Akash rings with the wisdom of understanding these words. Your Akash rings with a maturity that says, Kryon's right. And you will then teach the others, the new ones, of the ability that has always been theirs. And there's more. Invisible things come with the love of God and purpose, and it's the reason why you're so magnificent. And now you're starting, perhaps, to understand why we say what we say about a better humanity that is coming. We leave it there. But there's more. There's always more. Go from this place changed. And so it is.